Hi, I'm Catherine from Catherine Learns Stuff. Today I'm going to walk you through how to make this cute Spring Has Sprung card. So, let's jump in. To make our Spring Has Sprung card, we're going to need the following supplies. I have a whole lot of different colors of 8.5 by 11 cardstock here. So the orange, yellow, pink, purple, blue, blue, and green. Those are all for the flowers that are involved in this. So we don't need a full sheet of 8.5 by 11 for those. I've just got that for this demonstration, but you can use a piece of scrap paper that's about 8.5 inches long by 3 or 4 inches wide. It will be more than enough for all the flowers per color. The only sheet that we need a full sheet of is the card piece, and I'm using a light purple for that. But if you want to use a different color, that's totally up to you. We're also going to need 2 different colors of markers for our Cricut. I'm going to use green and black, and then we'll need our scoring stylus as well to help us fold the card. And finally, we'll need some glue to put this all together. So let's go over to our Cricut design space, and I'll walk you through how to work with the file that I've created for this project. I want to quickly walk you through how to use the Spring Has Sprung card file that I've created. And if you want to work along with me, you can grab a copy of this file at my shop. I've left a link in the description below where you can grab that. So once you've got the file, you simply need to select upload, and we are going to upload our image. Now, once you have the file saved on your computer, you can just simply click and drag it over here. Now it's going to say that this is a large file. Don't worry about that. That's all good. It'll still load into Cricut Design Space. And then we're going to continue. You can add an image name or some tags if you'd like, and we're going to select upload. Okay, so once this file comes into Cricut Design Space, the first thing that we need to do is we need to change the dimensions. So as I've mentioned in previous videos, Cricut likes to change my sizes. So we want to make sure that the width of this, so right over here, we want to change this from whatever it is. I've got 5.4 right now, and we want to change it to 10. This is going to make us have a card that is a 5 by 7, which is what I like to do for cards when I'm making them. That way we've got lots of space. Now there's a few other things that we need to do with this card, so please bear with me as I walk you through this. The first thing that we want to do is on our layers panel, we're going to open this up so that we can see all of our bits and pieces. Now for some reason Cricut's not showing all the items in the colors that they're supposed to be, but if I just click on this item here, for example, this is one of the leaves inside of my design, you'll notice that it is coming out green, and when we send it to make, it will cut it out in green. So that's nothing to be too concerned about. I just want to point out one thing quickly. We want to make sure that before we make any of the additional changes to this file, we want to make sure that we're ungrouping this whole project. So make sure that you've got this project selected, and we're going to select the ungroup button. This will bring our project into a whole bunch of different layers. If we don't do this, some of the changes that we make later on will have like a multiple effect on everything, and then everything kind of gets messed up. The one thing that we want to do is take note of a few things. So this text here right now, I've got it set as a separate item. If you want to have it either cut out in vinyl or have it written in ink on this card, will depend on what you're going to do. So I'm cutting it out in vinyl, so I'm just going to leave it as a basic cut. But if you want to have it as being written out in ink, just simply change it from basic cut to pen, and then select this item and the box that it's on, and select attach. Now I'm going to undo that because I'm going to keep the card that as vinyl on it. The first thing we're going to work on is this spiral here. In my layers panel, you're going to notice that there's 2 pieces. There's a basic cut line and the basic cut spiral. We're going to select the 2 items, or just the one line up here, and we're going to attach them together. This is going to force Cricut Design Space to cut this line with this spiral, which is going to give us a nice spiral outline. Next, what we want to do is we're going to skip all these flowers because all of these flowers are all good. We're going to select these. I'm going to show you this here. These are all of these little leaves that we have. I guess these are the stems. Now my idea is that these are going to be drawn on by a pen, so you'll notice here that they've got like a nice green color, but we're going to change it while I'm holding on to sort of this whole area, because this is all grouped as one item. I'm going to select this, and I'm going to change this to pen. Now since I'm only using one pen, I'm going to leave the pen as black, but you can change it to whatever color you'd like so that you know what sort of operation you're working through. So we're going to change that to pen, and I'm just going to make sure that these are all attached together. Now when I'm doing that, I want to also make sure that I'm going to select these attached stems that I've got, and I'm going to need to attach them to the actual card itself. So this card way down here is what we're going to be working with. So In a minute I'm going to attach them, but the first thing I need to do is I need to grab this basic cut line here, which is my fold line on my card, and I want to change that from a cut to a score, and I'm going to select these two items and I'm going to attach them. So I'm getting the card and the score line and I'm attaching them. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the card and the score line and all of these lines, I'm going to select all these attached lines. I'm actually going to just bring them forward so that I can see them and make sure that they're on the right spot of my card. And then I'm going to grab my card as well and I'm going to attach them. Now I've got, if I move this around, I've got my score line and I've got my stems of my flowers. So now all of the bits and pieces are done on our design. So what we need to do next is we're just going to select make it, and we'll set this up on our canvas. Now I'm just going to do a quick double check here on my canvas to make sure that everything is printing out the way that it's supposed to. Now I mentioned in the materials section that these are going to be printed out on 8.5 by 11, so I'm going to change the size so that it doesn't waste a whole line of paper for me. And I just want to make sure that all of my pieces are cutting out nicely, especially this card here. So I've got the score line and I've got my attached stems onto it. So everything else is ready to cut out. So I'm going to quickly cut this out and then I'll meet you at my workstation and we'll start to assemble this. Once we've cut out our card and all of the pieces, this is what we should have. So I've got a pre-scored card with a bunch of green lines on it, which are going to be the flower stems. I have a green coil, which will go on the inside. I have a whole bunch of different flower bits, in different colors, and I've got a whole bunch of matching centers in yellow. And I've got several of these green little stems. Now what I've done is I made a copy of the front of the flower box with marker on it, so just written in with my Cricut. And I've got one that's going to be just just purple with black vinyl on top of it. So I'll go through both. I just thought this would be easier to just show as an option. The thing to note is that these letters aren't colored in, so you can color those in with marker by hand if you'd like. Now that we have all the pieces ready, let's start to assemble this. The first thing that I want to do is I want to work on the flowers. Now I've designed it so that each flower has 2 sets of petals, just like so maybe. So that you arrange them like that. And then it gets a yellow top on top of it, so each flower will have a yellow bit. Now if you want to keep it more simple, you can just leave each flower with its own petal, simply like that, but I like the look of the layered flowers, so I'm going to start to glue all of my flowers together. Now that all of our flowers are glued, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to fold the card in half along the score line. And the front of the card is designed to have 2 flowers of each color. So I'm going to quickly just arrange them in any order on top of the card here and then glue them into place. Now you can do them sort of in order of color. You can make them look like a rainbow, however you'd like. I'm just going to sort of randomly put different colors at the end of the green stems. The next thing that we want to do is you're either going to use your Spring Has Sprung label that's already on the card panel that you've used your pen to write onto, or you're going to use your blank one with the vinyl. But for right now, I'm going to use this one here, and I've got all these spare green leaves, and these leaves are going to go into the top of this little section here. So I'm going to flip this upside down, remembering where my top is, and I'm just going to put some glue here to glue these down. Now you can glue them either with the rounded side up or the pointed side up, and there's a bunch of these. You can have them all filled in or have extra gaps if you'd like. So this is just to give the bottom of the flower box a little bit of depth and a little bit more personality. Now once these are all glued down, we're simply going to glue this onto the front of our box, front of our card. Now if you want to, instead of using glue, you can use like double-sided foam tape to give this card a little bit more volume and depth, but I'm just going to use glue today. And I'm going to just pull these out just a little bit, give them a little bit of a curl. All right. Now if you want, you can finish the card at this point here and have it like this, but if you don't want to, you can continue with the next part of adding the spiral. Now this part is a little bit tricky, and we only do it sort of one piece at a time. We're going to place the spiral inside the card, and we're going to glue just this one end onto the back here, if we're so lucky. And I'm going to put a dab of glue on the front side here. And I'm going to shut it and make it glue on this part here. And now my card opens up. But I'm going to make sure that it dries a little bit before I get too carried away with having this opened up. Just want to make sure my glue dries. Once I'm happy with how dry the glue is, I'm going to start to put glue on flowers onto both sides of the coil. And this is just simply like so. Now there's a lot of flowers, you can put them in any sort of order that you'd like, but there is more than enough to go around the whole coil with some spacing in between. Now I'm just simply going to let this dry. Now the last thing that you can do if you don't like the open letters is you can just pull out your Cricut pen and fill in the blanks. So I'm just going to use the same color that I used for the outline of the letters because I don't like the look of the outline of letters only. And there we have our card complete. And now you can add in a sentiment at the bottom as well. And there you have it. We've successfully made our Spring Has Sprung card. I hope you've enjoyed this craft as much as I have. If you want to get a copy of this exact card file, I left a link for it below in the description of this video. Also, if you've tried this out, let me know how it turned out in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Happy crafting!